I'm just slipping right off the seat.
Why are your pants so slippery?
I got my weightlifting pants on
Why do you wear weightlifting pants to the studio?
to turn you on.
Well, it's working. And that's the intro to the Date Your Wife podcast. Yes,
So
here we are.
easy,
Welcome
so
again to another show. We got NBR on the sweater. If you're not watching this
look
here in
at
the
us
studio, I
repping
got
our
Warrior
brands.
and we got NBR in studio right now.
Cute.
We did that in our garage.
Oh, yeah, we did.
We changed up the garage. Tell them about what we did with the garage.
We had these huge event signs. Well, first off, Garrett hung his surfboards, foam top boards, right when you come to the garage. I'm like, well, that doesn't look cool, and it's hard to pull in. And so we had these event signs that one said NBR Tribe and one says Warrior, and it looks pretty sick. You open our garage and you see this giant sign on the wall that just says Warrior. Can you see that from the road?
You can.
That looks cool.
You can see it from the sidewalk, too, across the street. So, when the garage is open, it's like I'm pulling into the Warrior Bat Cave.
Yeah, it looks cool.
I feel like Batman. One time I was pulling into the driveway, and there was some young kids walking by, and they didn't know I heard them, and they're
that's
like,
what's so funny.
"He's like Batman," and I'm like,
People
"What?"
don't understand where our neighborhood is and where we sit. We literally, people walk on the walking trail, and I'm like, it's almost like they think there's a secret bubble, we can't see them. I'm like, I can hear everything you're saying. You're on the sidewalk across the street from my driveway. I'm a real human being. I can hear what you're saying.
They might think we're deaf.
I don't know. It's so funny.
Or you know what? Or there is kind of a weirdness about it because you wouldn't think you could talk from up top of our house and we could hear you.
I used to look at our neighborhood and our house when we first moved here, and I just think oh my God, who would you need to become?
You are avoiding this microphone. Why are you doing this?
Because every time.
You should. There you go. Okay.
So anyway, but yeah, I think you when you see that, you're like, oh, it's almost like you're at a different frequency and a different vibration that maybe you think they can't hear you.
I don't know. I mean, I would have been the same way. I mean, if I'd seen a Warrior
we're all
sign,
high and mighty. I think it's funny. I hear people oh, that's hot. That's a cool car. Oh, did you see that? I'm like,
I'm right here.
I just
How are
wave.
you
I'm
guys?
like, hi.
I was like, yeah, it's pretty sweet.
You know
what? Though I like it. I like it.
Speaking of Bat Cave, I feel like Batwoman last week.
You feel like Batwoman for a reason.
Why
do you feel like Batwoman? Tell them. Tell them why you feel like Batwoman. Last week was one of the greatest weeks of your birthday celebration of all time. 38 years on the planet, and year number 38 was your best. Yes.
I mean, it was like a great week. I was like, wow.
I think it was a great year. Year 38 was great for you.
It
was a great year. I think it was the best year ever.
I think I persevered in 2020. So 2021 was nice. In fact, this last week, so it was my birthday, and I got my first sports car. Not first, but
it's your first supercar.
It's a Ferrari. So I feel like I'm playing with the boys. I'm like, yes, so good.
What was that like? What was that like for you getting that vehicle as a woman? I'm not talking about
I think when you're a successful
women
woman,
shouldn't have it. I'm just like, what's that like?
I feel super powerful. I'm like, nice. And what's so funny is it's a small car, but I can actually fit a car seat in the back. And so I pull up to lights, and men are so confused. The first they're like, oh, hot car. And then they're like, oh, there's a mom. And then a girl. And then they're like, oh, there's a kid in the back. And then I just kind of smile.
Nobody's pulling up next to that and going, oh, look, there's a girl in the car.
Pulled up
they're
into
thinking,
our
wow,
work,
she's hot.
In our work garage or our parking lot yesterday, and men are so funny. They can be 50, 60, 70, doesn't matter how old they are.
Yeah.
I get out, I'm just in workout gear, and this guy's got to be 70 something, and he's all, oh hey, and this big grin on his face. Yeah. I'm like, hi, how are you?
He's 74
and
he's got blood pumping to the middle.
I don't know,
crotch
I just
section,
thought it was funny.
Sure.
I was like,
that's how guys are. We're never going to change.
I know.
I hope that in my 70s, I asked this question of my friend's father. He's 72 years old. I asked him a question. He was playing billiards with. I said, do you still get sexually aroused? Meaning, do you wake up in the morning, you're like, man, I'd really like to get laid. Do you think this in your 70s? And he got kind of embarrassed, and he was like, well, and his son was looking at me because I was asking the question in front of everybody.
Oh, don't ask in front.
Oh, why would I not? That's what I do. So I asked him, and he confirmed. He said, and he kind of gave me the elbow, and I was like, no, I'm serious. How many times a week are you having sex right now?
Is he married?
Yeah, he's married.
Okay.
His wife, his wife's 10 years older than him, though. So he's 72, his wife's 82. I was like, are you guys still having sex? I mean, that's a lot to ask from an 82-year-old. Do you think we're having sex in our 80s?
Probably.
Do you think you're eating a Milky Way by having sex with us in our 80s?
We would okay. So for
Oh, wow, you're gonna go
I'm
there.
not gonna go
Okay.
there. I'm
I was
not
like,
gonna
you're
go
gonna
there.
tell
I'm gonna
them?
keep it classy. But I'm just
Okay.
gonna say for
All right.
birthday week we went to Punta Mita, and there's a lot of things that I can't undo that trip. So
Why would you want to do anything?
I don't. I'm just saying
There's things I will
I would
never
wake up and
forget
be
my
like,
entire life.
Obviously we were drinking, but we were not drinking too, and still having fun. And there was like moments where I'd wake up and I was like, wow, good for me.
No, good for you is right. No, it was good for you is right. So let's come back to the Ferrari. So you get the Ferrari and you're racing down the road and you're racing me. I'm in my Aventador. You're in your Ferrari. We're racing back and forth down PCH. Like what? And then we're on the freeway and you can't go slower than 100 miles an hour. What do you think
cool.
What's this like for
I think
you
it
as a
was just
woman?
like a really fun experience because I feel like I kind of like acknowledged this piece of me that it's like, yeah, I'm your wife, but like this is my fucking car. Like I am a producer as well. And it was cool to like, I always feel like we have like the same appetite for life and success. And so it was like cool to like be like with my guy, like racing around. Like it's not like it was like my car. It was like it felt like very powerful. I was like, oh cool. I'm like playing with the big boys and having a good time doing it.
You were stunning in the vehicle. I loved it. You know what? I think it did. I think it's why we had such a great time in Mexico. It's not because you got the car. I think the car and all of the year 38, and people might get confused by this, like, oh, he's talking about Lamborghinis and Ferraris. Listen, you rewind back in our life. Number one, we rewind back when we met each other. Danielle's not some sugar baby I picked up on the side of the street. Oh, there's a hot girl with, a nice ass who squats, absolutely, and I'm going to take her home. Like, that didn't happen. Like, when we met... She was very, very hot. And yet there was a connection for us that existed beyond our physicality, even though we were sexually very attracted to one another and very compatible. We didn't have money. There was none. Like there was no money. And not only was there no money, in our world, there was no money coming from her side, really. There was money coming from her side, but never really looked at as serious money until the last couple of years.
Oh, from my side, from doing hair?
Yeah, just as a producer, right? And then the last couple of years, there was a rise. Yeah, I mean, there were moments. No,
I remember when we first moved to California, I was doing very well, but I had my own bank account and I wasn't telling you what I was making.
Oh, no. That's still the pocket years, though. That's like a decade ago. And we're talking about, yes, for sure you outproduced me for a period of time. For sure you did. I was making nothing. So it's like quite easy to outproduce me when I'm making nothing. Then I dominate you, let's be straight, for a long time. And then you rose. And then you took over your companies, and then you took them to where they are, and now this is kind of an equal competition.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like I'm like you and I have always been like.
Yeah, that's our car racing down the freeway is exactly what goes on with us in business.
Hey, you go now, I lead. Now you go, now I lead. Now you go, now I lead, and it's just like it's kind of how it's gone.
But does it feel great as a woman? Like, what's it feel great as a woman having children? Like, I always put it this way. I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, you push babies out of your body. Like, what can a guy ever really do? Hey, I got another car. No, you still can't push a baby out of your body. So you've pushed 3 babies out of your body, and you're a producer, and you're hot, and you're married, and we're not divorced. Like, what, at 38 years of age, let's go. Give it to us. What is the key to success
I think it
for
is
you?
hard to... I feel like I balance all those roles pretty well. Like, I love what I do. I'm extremely passionate about my career. I also I love being a wife. I love being a mom. And for me, if I'm like kind of off balance in one area, then like another area of my life kind of suffers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I do have a hungry appetite for life and everything in it. And I always am pushing to grow and become more. And like once you kind of get that bug, you're like, ooh, if I went this far, maybe I can go this far. Okay, if I did this, maybe I could do this. But like even like where I'm at with my companies, like I know there was a point where you're like, get in the trenches. You need to be working. I'm like, I don't want to work 50, 60 hours a week, Garrett. There might be a time that I do, but I have a little, year and a half year old, almost 2 at home. I'm like, I don't want to miss these years.
Yeah.
And even in the past when my kids were really little in that window, I don't work. I work. I've always worked, but I love that stage from like 1 to like 5. It's so
What
yummy.
about 14?
It's
You
so
like that
cute.
stage?
No, just kidding. Just kidding, Bailey. I love you.
Okay. What about 10? You like that stage?
No, 10's cute. It starts to get like around 12. You're like, oh no.
There they go. Disappeared.
They go disappear, but then they
come back
actually
in
Bailey's
20.
super sweet.
Parker kind of came back around at 22.
Yeah, everything will circle back around. But what I'm saying is like I really I think that women kind of get to this place where they don't allow them. They say, oh, I have to just be focused on this, or I have to just focus on being a mom, or maybe when my kids are raised, then I'll find something. And then I'm like, I've always worked, and I've always worked at kind of like slowly building and staying consistent, and that's how I've gotten to where I have.
So people say there are many people who would say, we were raised in cultures like this, that being a working mom or being a producing mother is bad for your children. What are your thoughts about this?
Why is it bad for you?
Because you're not there.
I think things have changed though. Like I don't.
You're not there. You're not in the mix. You're not part of the day to day.
Like I did a post that I was like, I am a stay-at-home mom, and somebody commented, was like, "You're far from a stay-at-home mom." I'm like, "How do you know? Are you living in my life? Do you see my day-to-day routine? Oh, you don't? Okay." So there's like moments of hustle, and there's pockets where I pour into my business and things like that, and meetings every week, and it's scheduled. But guess what? Stay-at-home moms do the same thing. They literally do. They schedule luncheons and they schedule whatever they do. They schedule little things because they have to have their own independence. So for me, I'm like, I kind of got to this place where I was like I need to let go of the guilt and allow myself to have success as a working mom and also be really involved with my children. And I think that, I don't know if men feel this, like the guilt pocket. And so ultimately guilt kind of holds you back from what you can actually become and what you can do. So I just kind of was like, you know what, this is not serving me. And I think it's an excuse and I need to just like prioritize my time.
So I was at the park.
You were?
Yeah, I was having a mom moment. Monday, while you were in a business meeting, we didn't have the nanny because the nanny would watch the babies for like 5 days while we were in Mexico, a.k.a. Milky Way. We might tell a little bit about that. We may not. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. It'll be up to Danielle. I cannot tell the Milky Way story, but just know chocolate was involved. And if she talks about it, we'll be all on her and embedded in the on-demand interwebs for life. But anyways, for right now, it's just embedded in the interwebs of my mind. So you had a meeting on Monday with your team. I missed our baby and hadn't got to hung out with her much. So I said, hey, I'll take the baby while you do your meeting. And we went to the park. So I took her in your Ferrari, put her in the back seat. I thought it was kind of fun. She likes the windows down and like the hair goes everywhere.
It's fun to have those during the day mom moments, huh?
Yeah,
like
I had a during the day mom moment.
Like I don't think I push swings every day, but like when I do, I'm like, this is fun.
Yeah. Well, I was the only dad at the park.
Yeah.
At 1:30 in the afternoon on Monday. So there was me. We went to the park and there were 5 of the moms and their babies. And they had all coordinated playtimes with each other. I didn't know this was a thing. So like the moms were waiting for another mom, and mom sat on the
social time.
Yeah, the mom sat on the bench.
Kids play. I know.
They were pulling little flasks out of their purses.
I used to do this.
I
They
saw it
were
going on.
not.
Oh yeah, liquor drinking 1:30 in the afternoon.
More like a Truly.
Drunken stupors.
No.
I'm just kidding. That wasn't happening. But what was happening was an amazing experience at the park, which is this parenting moment I'm talking about. So I'm sitting there. I'm completely present with Isla playing at the park. We're running up and down the slides, and she's learning how to swing by herself. And she's having her moments. And then the moms show up and they're doing things. And I'm talking to the moms. I'm just one of the moms. We're having a talk. One of the moms had a new baby. It's 2 months old. She's like super excited. So she's only got 2 kids. So I was like, well, telling her about what it's like when they're 10 and 14.
You would be a better park mom than me.
For sure.
When I am,
I'd be king of the park moms.
This is me. I'm park mom. I'm like, hat. I'm like, nobody talk to me.
Yeah, I get to know everybody. I got to meet Patrish. I got to meet Fernando and his wife who were there with their kids.
Like, guys, I'll meet you here next Tuesday, 10:30, same spot.
Do you know legit this happened one time?
Save me a swing.
This happened one time with Ruby. We went to the park and then they had so much fun that, of course, then I got cell phone numbers from all the moms because the kids were having so fun. And then this mom started texting me. I was like, this is kind of weird. I don't like the fact you're texting me to set a play day. So I was like, I should cut this down. So I just deleted it all.
If you, that's like mom code. Like if a guy's at the park and he's like, can I get your number? Then it's like, oh, he's the mom. Like he's the stay-at-home dad. That's code for
I'm the mom.
It's code for like set it up with the dad. Which, I think people like equally text us. I'll be like, hey,
I think most people coordinate
Garrett?
with me.
Yeah, they do actually. Like,
yeah, they're not sure if you're going to read their text. They know you're going to read it. They're just not sure if you're going to respond to it.
That's true.
Why do you do that?
I don't know.
Okay. People be like, why is your wife ghosting me? I was like, I have no idea. She ghosts me too, so I don't know.
People can't read me. They're like, I don't know. She seems really friendly. I'm like, I am.
Sometimes we wonder if you can read, but because there's no response to the text. But I tell them that you can.
I like to collect my thoughts before I respond.
AKA swipe through some online store and buy it down the T-shirt. Okay, so here's the thing. We come back to the park. Let me tell you the tale that happened, though. It's so fun. So I'm sitting in the park with Isla, and our baby is 18, 19, 20 months old. What is she going to be? 2 years in July. So what is that, 20 months old? Yep. Right? So is it May, June, July?
Yep.
No,
in
she's
the words
21.
Of Isla. Yep. So
21 months old. So she's coming up on 2. So now the kids at the park were 4 and 5 years old.
Oh, you told me this already.
Right?
Yeah.
So now the 4 and 5-year-olds want to play tag. Now, of course, Isla knows nothing about tag because she's gone through the COVID years, which means she didn't get dropped to the gym. She barely started going to the church kids groups. But I don't know if we're going to take her there because she keeps getting a cold. So, I'm like a little paranoid about whatever. So she hasn't had a lot of kid interaction. She hangs out with adults who all cheerlead for her 24/7 and tell her she's the greatest thing to ever walk the planet.
Yeah.
So she's at the park. She's in the wild. She's in the wild. She
might get shoved, pushed down
She
for
got
no
confronted
reason.
by
Did
her
she?
first older bully. Wasn't really a bully. It was just like
kids
part of being in the
don't
park.
know.
No. They looked at me and they come up to her like, how old is she? And I was like, she's
little
not.
kids did?
Yeah, they were like 5 and 6. She's not even 2 years old yet. She's not old enough to play with us. I was like, okay. And they're like, well, because she was standing right over by where they were doing their little huddle for dinosaur tag or whatever they're playing. And she's just hanging out by them and going, hi, guys. Hi, guys.
Aww.
And they're all, she's not old enough to play with us. And I was like, okay. So I'm just standing there. And then I'm watching the little mind go, no, that's code for you should take her away from us right now. And I said, and so I just kept standing there looking at the 5-year-old. And she's like, oh, well, she needs to move. I was like, she doesn't need to move. She's playing right there. You guys can play wherever you need to play. Now, moments later, they finally include her in the shenanigans and realize that she is conscious enough to play tag with them. So they're running around. Same 5-year-old who told her she was not old enough to play. Follow me on this one. The story continues in great dramatic fashion. Wow. So I'm standing on this. It's got that rubbery, bouncy floor that you could fall down on and not really hurt yourself, which I really like. And they're running around the playground, and Isla's running super fast, doing her waddle run that she's so fun, thinks she's blinding fast with her running shoes. She's running around. I've got her dress tied up on the side of her because it keeps getting in the way on the slide. She got her little jean shorts. She comes running and whipping around one side. The little 5-year-old who told her she was not old enough to play and that I should get her out of the way comes around the other side, and there is an inevitable collision. Now, I look over at the mom.
Like they crashed into each other?
Yeah, they're about to crash. I know this is going to happen, but it's too late. You can't stop it. They're both in full locomotion.
Why do men, when they see their kids like gonna fall, they're like, let them fall. They're gonna figure it out. Whereas
like
women, I'm like,
too.
but why wouldn't you protect her? You should protect her for as long as possible.
Yeah, well, I was protecting her because what happened next was proof to this.
Okay.
So she bonks straight into these girls are not looking at each other, they're looking over their shoulders, and they run straight into each other and they both fall down. Now, what happens next is where the greatness of my daughter rose, right? She stands up, she looks over at me and she goes, ouch! And then that's it. And then I look at her and the little 5-year-old is now in sobbing tears.
Aww.
Then Isla goes over, does the primal squat right next to the little girl, squats down, puts her hands on her cheeks and goes, oh,
cute.
Oh, baby crying, daddy, baby crying. So yes, the moral of the story is karma's a bitch, and this comes back to bite you, no matter if you're 5 years old or not. So if you want to not include people, karma's going to come around and give you away. Oh, baby crying. Oh, here I am making fun of a 5-year-old. They ended up being happy. She went and had her little apple with her mom on a bench. We went over and talked and see if she was okay.
You had quite the mom moment.
It was great.
You were gone for like an hour and a half. I remember because I was like, oh man, Garrett should be back by
we're
now.
having a blast. Well, here was the thing. The point, though, like to your point, is like we went to the park, and then time came. I had to get on a business call, and you were done. So I literally rally home with her in a car, hand her off to you, and go directly to Zoom calls.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Wow. So there we got it. Let's go to another topic. You ready?
What? I'm scared.
Wow, Mexico. I mean, let's list the top 5 reasons why this was the greatest 3-night, 4-day getaway of our entire marriage.
I keep having like screenshots. And I'm like,
yeah, you keep having mental movies. Is what you got going on.
I feel like
You feel like what? Just say it. You
no,
just need to say it.
I was like,
say what you're feeling.
I feel like we connected on a whole nother level.
We
didn't even was like, oh. Okay.
But it was intense. So let's be straight with it. There was a lot of sex, and it was intense. It was amazing. There was a lot of flirting. There was a lot of seduction. Yeah. There was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of fire.
A lot of talking, a lot of hanging out, a lot of fun. Yeah, we golfed, we ATV'd or whatever.
There was a lot of fire. There was a lot of fun. There was a lot of fucking. There was a lot of those things happening.
Oh, okay.
And it was exciting. Now, I had wanted this vacation, what we experienced. I've wanted this to be our vacation for like 20 years. But I was never the kind of guy. No, I wasn't even ready for this because here, I'm going to throw myself under the bus. I lacked the confidence and certainty in myself to be the kind of man that could show up in a way that would allow my wife to feel safe and secure and to be herself without being a weird, pouty, whiny, pouty, whiny, I don't know how you describe it. Outside the fact that this is a normal thing for guys to go to. They either go to asshole mode or pouty mode as married men. Yeah. Because we get trapped. Guys get trapped. They don't know how to deal with it.
They don't know how to deal with the sexual frustration or?
We just don't know how to deal with marriage gets kind of crazy because what we experienced was like we had no children. We had just met each other on an exotic island and it was like off we go. I mean, I've waited for this moment for a long, I've been on a lot of islands with you. It's not gone this way. What was different about this trip?
I mean,
it was just fucking pure fire. The whole island was on fire.
I just let go. I was like, I don't care. Like, not I don't care. I just like let go. But you know, Yeah,
You're getting more images.
I know.
Again.
I can't.
I know exactly where your
not,
mind went on that one too. You were in a basket, weren't you? I have some mental movies that I'll never forget too.
I think because I grew up super religious, and it was always like sex was very like taboo. And then even when I got married, like we always had connection. Then when even we got married, like we had like okay sex, good sex, and then we like kind of like didn't really have good sex for a while, and then like we worked really hard, like then like we've really kind of come back together. And I feel like it was just like, I don't know. I just was like, fuck it. I just let go.
So there was a guy who I've known for a long time, and he's in one of our warrior programs right now. And he and his wife had 5 kids, and they got divorced in the last 2 years. I didn't know this. And so he was on one of our calls a couple of days ago, and he was talking about this. And I know one of the things that went down for them was a really rough time with, you're married for 10 years, you have 5 kids. That's rough, right? That's a lot. And then that's a lot of kids in 10 years.
Lot.
Oh, it's a lot of kids in 10 years, right?
I know. That is true.
5 kids in 10 years, that basically means that every 2 years she was either pregnant or recovering from being pregnant. That fucks up a marriage.
Well, and you know what? Even with Isla, like I feel like I was thinking this morning. I'm like, we're in a totally different space with a toddler. I'm like, number one, like I'm cool with myself. Like I'm like way more confident now than I was in my 20s, and I don't allow like the mom guilt to like take over me. Like I'm like I like being with my children, but I'm also cool to have a full-time nanny help me, even if I'm home working on other stuff. So I've kind of gotten to this place where I'm like, my older kids are in school all day. So I get to experience being a mom and like when your kids are in school, but I also have this adorable toddler, but I'm like, I have help with, and I get and we can travel. And I just feel like I'm like living like in 2 alternate realities. I'm like living, cause it's like we had our 2 kids, and then we had a space, and now it's like we're starting over. Right. Yeah. But we're not starting over like we did in our 20s. We have money, we have help. I'm more like confident. I'm more like less mommy guilt. Like, and I've heard older people that have children talk about this, and like you're when you have kids later in life, it's a totally different experience. So I think it's cool because I got to experience being a young mom, but I'm still young, 38, and I also feel like I'm experiencing being like a mom a little bit older. You know what I mean? And it's just like a cool space. It's just a totally different space to be in, and I'm like very happy right now.
Mother's Day is coming up.
Yeah.
Like,
you didn't finish your story about the couple. You were just saying like they're not happy.
Thanks for bringing me back on that one. I was testing you. You well done. You passed.
Yep. Okay.
All right. So they get divorced 2 years ago, and there were 2 primary issues going on, which are the primary issues that we see in relationships happen all the time. He was not getting it done financially. So she was turned off by his inability to pay the bills.
So she's like, dude, I got 5 kids.
Okay. Yep. And on the flip side, he's feeling unappreciated because they're not having a lot of sex. So you've got this 2 things going on. These 2 pedals. If you had 2 gas pedals inside of a car, which would be super weird, but imagine you did a left pedal and a right pedal. You had sex and you have money. And you have these 2 conversations. This is a constant thing. We know people recently too. I mean, this keeps happening with single people we know. They either break up because of sex or money. It's like one of those 2 things constantly.
What? Even successful women, we still want we want someone who is more successful than us. Like I'll just say it. Like I don't even want you. I want you to I want to like be successful. I want you to be like 10 times more successful.
Well, don't worry. You caught me in 2020.
Yeah. So
and you will never catch me again.
I disagree, but I think that's a healthy balance.
I like your passion.
But we push each other that way. You think about the basket.
I am. Now go.
We push each other in like a very healthy way, and I don't think there's anything wrong with like you wanting more and me wanting more, and that's kind of how we've gotten to where we've gotten. And I think that a lot of times women just accept their role, and maybe in this specific situation, well, I'm the mom, and I'm doing my part. You're not doing your part, so you don't get sex. Like, and I remember.
This is a real thing.
I'm serious because I remember being in this situation in our lives where I was like, cool. I was like, I'm producing more than Garrett, and he's not really even like showing up at all. Like I'm playing the mom and I'm playing the wife. And then I kind of like was like, you know what, Danielle, maybe you need to switch your mindset. Like maybe you're supposed to be the producer. And I thought of it as like I was like kind of like had a moment where I like gave up on you. Like I was like, okay, I'm supposed to be the producer. I'm supposed to bring the family like around. Like, okay, I got to accept that responsibility. And it wasn't I was like, and I was more like, I'm going to work on me, and like maybe Garrett will like he'll figure out a shit. I like whatever, but maybe this is my role. So I kind of accepted like, hey, I am a mom, and women act a lot different than men do with their children. Not good, bad, just different. And I was like, but I believe that my role might be to take care of my family. So I accepted that role and just worked on me.
Do you think you actually would have stayed with me if that continued?
No.
Yeah. So I had this.
As I rise in power, I'm like, you better fucking keep up with me. Like, literally, I always feel that. Like, the minute I rise, I'm like, if you treat me really, really good. But in the past, I remember when I feel like I'm like growing and learning and like rising, I'm like, you better keep up with me.
That's probably why Mexico is so great, because I actually relished in your power. It turns me on. And I'm happy for your success versus in the past I may have like kind of cut your legs out from under you a bit.
But I think I was being rude to you. Like I would be like, well, if you fucking like I was probably doing little jabs at you too.
You were. You're doing some jabs.
It's not. And now I'm like, I understand that there's two roles. There's business Danielle, and there's like doty wife, like flirty, fun, whatever. Let go Danielle. And I think that when I do both roles, then we can kind of like I said, I like let go and I can be wife Danielle, and then I can go back, and it's a healthier balance. Because if I'm constantly like nagging and jabbing you, then like as a man, you're gonna be like, God, like that. No guy wants.
It's not really motivating.
A guy wants to.
Nag.
I realize that guys love words of affirmation, whether they'll admit it or not. They want to be told they're the man at any given time, in some way, form, or shape or another. They just want to feel appreciated, and men are so simple in that way, but. Women also want to be appreciated too, but I think we're a lot more complex than men.
Yeah, I think when you say complex, yeah, you're right. You're a little more complicated, but also pretty simple, which is like women want to feel safe and secure, and they want to be seduced. And if you only provide safety and security but no seduction, doesn't matter. If you only provide seduction but no safety and security, you're at the end of the day, you're fucked.
Like even when we've been married how many years?
18.
And I still love sometimes when you're like kind of nervous and like you're trying to like come on to me, but you don't know. And like you're like, how do I do this? And I'm like,
no, there are some moments. I don't know why I feel a little nervous.
And I just lean my neck into you and I'm like, babe, it's all right.
I didn't know you like to be kissed on the back of your neck.
I do.
You've told me that in Mexico now. I know.
Yes.
Got a secret code. It's
but
like
I mean,
ABA,
I don't think there's, I think it's like
4.
I love that you're like, men are like, can I come under? Can I not? Because like no guy wants to be shut down, right? Even if you're married.
It's a hard thing to be shut down as a guy. I think it's easier to go for it when you're dating or single than it is when you're married.
I realize too, like a lot of women won't like instigate, and they want their man to like, even if you're married, they want their man to kind of come on to them, but they don't give them any signs. Like for me, it's real simple. I know all I have to do is I just reach over and I like just tickle your back. Like you,
no, it's easier.
Like,
it's even easier than that.
It's like
it's easier than that.
You just know like
that's one. If
I reach over, touch your neck, touch your hair, touch your face.
That means it's go time.
Like that means like, hey, I'm open to it, right? If I'm passed out snoring, I'm like with a snowsuit on, I'm like, don't come near me. I'm going to bed.
But if you're laying in the bed in your thong and your ass is hanging out in the top of the sheets and you got a half t-shirt on,
that's still not a go. Sometimes I just fall asleep like that. No, it has to be.
That's a go.
Sometimes actually sometimes I do like that too.
Yeah, you do. Wait, that's a go 100% if I want to.
That's true, but
I like.
I'm just saying, like sometimes you have to give your man a little permission, and it could be something as simple as like, "Hey, you."
Yeah, like when you're wearing the Eskimo suit, for sure, it's like lockdown. If the air conditioning has been turned up. You're in sweats and a hoodie, a beanie, gloves. You're underneath 5 comforters and 4
snoring,
pillows.
I'm not interested because I don't snore.
And I come in and there's a wall of pillows between you and me in the bed.
That doesn't happen anymore.
You know what that is? That sign just says, "Hey, it's time for a cigar and a good Netflix show."
Okay, you know what? I gotta disagree with that a little bit because I don't do that anymore. I used to.
Oh, I love that you acknowledge that you did used to do that.
I did.
Purpose.
I was like, oh.
This is why I called you Barbie in a box.
I know,
Barbie in an ice box.
But you know what? Now I think it's funny because, and I said this on one of our other podcasts, I can always tell, like I'll be tired, but I'm like open to whatever happens. But I can tell when you want to go watch TV and you're not tired because you come in and you almost like tuck me in. You're like, all right, babe, you look tired. And I'm like, I am, but I'm like, whatever. Like, and then you literally go down and I'm like, oh, he wants to watch
But you know
the
what?
show.
The only reason that's happened is Vikings, and now I've watched all of it, and so now I'm like lost in my life now. I have no way. No, so now it's
no
like
purpose.
I have no purpose in my life.
Sad.
I've watched all the seasons. It's over. It's done. The Vikings
maybe
gone.
You should lift weights.
I don't even like lifting weights. I do like surfing. I've been surfing my ass off, and I've been getting barrel shacked the last couple of days. So let's come back to our sex and money thing, though, here, because here's the deal. So I have another guy that's on our call, And I'm talking to him, and this guy's on unemployment. He's got 2 kids, and his wife is a full-time employee, like a full-time job. And she makes the money to pay the bills while he collects unemployment while trying to get a business off the ground that he's never been successful pulling off. And I asked him really straight, I said, and he was really honest with me. I said, dude, like, do you think that your wife actually likes this?
No.
And he's looking at me and he's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, do you think your wife actually respects you? I'm just asking you. Like, do you feel like you're being respected? Like, based on where you are? And he's like, yeah, you know, probably not. I said, let's eliminate probably. Like, let's face it. Your wife thinks you're a pussy, dude. Like, let's face it. Like, under any man code, there are a handful of women that love to have handbag men that they can just control and jerk around. The same way with guys who want to have brain dead girls.
With that.
There are some powerful women
like
that just want to have a handbag husband that can control and manipulate.
Really?
Yeah, hell yes. No different. Yeah, dude, are you kidding me? I know completely staunchly very intense, masculine-driven women. They do not want a powerful masculine man in their life because that guy will headbutt the fuck out of her. So they end up getting this handbag guy as kind of a pussy
like
who drives the kids everywhere.
It's like the older guy that gets the little hot 20-year-old because he's like,
It's no different, right? So it exists for women where they just want a handbag husband. Right. And then you've got men who just want a handbag wife.
But come on.
And they're both producers. So when you
If I was a producer and had a handbag boy, I'd have lots of them because I would just get bored.
Well, that's what they do, too. They have a lot of handbag boys. You hear that? Boys. A lot of handbag boys. Yeah. And then it's just purely sexual and feeling like you're getting lots of attention.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to bring this to a different topic because, like, this is an interesting one. Okay. So you had your first cigar with me, which was fun. That was fun in Mexico.
I've had a cigar before. It was like, it was like 4 or 5 years ago.
But it was the first time we really sat down. We were in a cigar bar, and it was super fun. We're going to talk about first night.
I had like a really cute, classy, like white dress on.
It was hot. You look great.
It wasn't even like...
It wasn't tight.
No,
nothing. It was kind of... It was almost Spanish style.
It was
almost
really
Latin
cute,
style.
very classy. Like, it was cute. And I walk in, and it was funny. I was like, yeah, I'll try one. And then we like smoked the whole thing. It was great.
So we both had a cigar, but you're skipping the entire point of the story.
Okay.
So... we go to the cigar bar. It's pretty much filled with all guys, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much all guys. Now, let me tell you an experience we had, which was interesting because I had this conversation with my best friend Keith about this too, which I understand. And he's told me about this in the past, and I kind of got it, but I kind of didn't. Here was the thing about what happened. So we walk in, we sit down at a cigar bar. Danielle doesn't know cigars. I now know cigars. So we're doing the cigars. We get a cigar for each other. I don't smoke every night, but like it's something I do like once a week. So we're sitting down to smoke some cigars, and it's impossible to not see my wife. A, she's one of the only women in the room, and B, she's like smoking this cigar with all the men in the room, and she doesn't look like, a girl that, is like a steel worker that headbutts iron with her face and smokes cigars and shoots shots with the boys.
Like, it wasn't in like a tight slutty dress either.
No, you were kind of covered up, but your shoulders were popping out a bit. It was like very seductive. But here's my point. In that environment, all of those men at the dinner we were at that night and at the cigar bar, every man in the room couldn't keep their eyes off my wife. Now, I knew this was happening, and I thought it was fun. I didn't have any issues with it whatsoever. And this was a problem in the past for me, which is I felt like I had to energetically be like, fuck you. So I would do like this fuck you energy to men.
I noticed there were guys, but I'm sure you felt how into I was with you in that moment.
But there was an into it with me that was fueled by the fact that you had lots of eyeballs on you. Yes.
I was into you.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you're not into me. I'm saying that the attention factor.
Well, I mean,
don't backpedal right now and talk some bullshit on this. Yes, you were doing some moves. Listen, I put you in an uncomfortable pocket, so I'm just going to say it how it is and not just let you avoid trying to stumble on your words right now. Women want to feel sexy. The problem with most marriages is the fact that a guy's either overbearing, and so he tries to protect and hide the beauty of his wife from the other men. Because men hunt and fight for two things: women and resources, and power. Power is who has most resource and who has the most beautiful woman or who has the most women. This has been the case for thousands of years. This shit will never change. Now, as a married guy, it's kind of a weird deal because if you walk in a room and you feel uncomfortable with who you are, then you create this weird environment and you either go to defense mode where you're kind of doing the fuck you energy to everybody, or you start to feel weak. And if your wife is in that place, I watch tons of men who then attack their wives, or not physically or verbally, they will actually try to get their wives to downplay their beauty, downplay their power, downplay the purity of who they are, because it makes them uncomfortable that all these other men are looking
they don't like that
at their wife.
Looking.
Now, natural primal desire as a man is to want women. It doesn't matter who you are. You'll be married and a beautiful woman walks by. You don't have a choice. There's a chip in you that goes, whoop, and there's blood that flows to your penis. Next thing you know, you're like, whoa, she's fucking hot. Like, you don't not have that thought. Now, what you do next, well, that determines who you are as a man, right? But in this environment, I always felt very protective for years, like almost in scarcity. Like I was like my wife was going to leave me at any moment. Type of deal.
It's funny too because now I'll be like, oh, that photo's too sexy. Should I post it? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
I'm like, that looks great.
You're like the one that's encouraging me, like through my whole fitness journey and like even like bikini photos. You're like, baby, look hot. We should take photos. I'm like, okay, like.
Yeah, well, and then the cigar bar had happened. But here was the magic of what I saw happen. It was the fact that everyone in the room was watching a fully expressed, absolutely open woman in a safe environment with me as her husband. Like your focus was on me, but the energy of all these guys looking at you also was deeply inspiring you as a woman because, every man and woman wants this. They all feel this. It's bullshit to say that you don't. Nobody walks into a room and wants to not be seen. Yeah. Everyone walks in a room and wants to be seen, and women want
significant. They want
every
attention.
woman wants to walk into a room and feel like she is sexy and that men desire her. It's bullshit. It's like Wimbledon. Oh, no, I don't. I was like, then why are you wearing the cleavage top to the gym? You trying to impress your girlfriend with your boobs? Like, what are you trying to do? I was like, you want attention, and that's okay. It's okay.
Men
it's part
want
of it.
attention?
Of course, men want attention. That's why men will stick their chests out when they walk into rooms. Guys will eye each other up, trying for alpha authority inside of a room.
It's just primal nature.
And men, if they're honest, men, even if they are married to a beautiful woman or they love their wife, when they walk in a room, they want other women to notice them. This is a fact. Now, when it doesn't, it makes you feel more wanted.
I would say it goes both ways.
Yeah, it
for
makes
women.
you feel more wanted. But if you're not safe in your relationship and you're not safe with yourself, this is a massive threat. So I was not feeling threatened. I was the opposite. I was like, I love it. She's mine. She's with me. I'm with you. I love it. So all this energy and attention is coming to you.
We went to the cigar bar the next night, and the energy was not as hot. Like,
why wasn't it as hot the next night?
Because it was a bunch of women.
Because there's a whole bunch of women, right?
And I was like, no, but I wore an even sluttier dress tonight. No one sees what I'm wearing.
Exactly. So, like this piece inside of this is just one simple example of where, as a husband, I had to rise in my own certainty with myself, and also more certainty in who we are as a couple. Like they're just trust levels that are really high. I mean, what's gonna happen? It's not like
I would say I like when men notice me, but I don't ever entertain. Like I'm very like kind of like I don't ever entertain it, but I do like when I'm like, oh yeah, I feel hot, cool, thanks.
I don't entertain it either.
It's good.
A lot of couples do entertain it. This couple that got divorced, he was entertaining it. Yep. This other couple, listen, this happens all the time, though. It's not just guys; it's girls too. There's a window that opens up with being okay with messaging.
I had this conversation with Val because I was like, it's so funny because like we're all human, right? Like even though I'm a woman, if a hot guy walks by, I'm gonna be like, oh shoot,
yeah, he's hot.
That's a hot man. Or if I'm watching a movie and I'm like, there's a hot actor, I'm like, shoot, that's a hot man.
Yep.
Like it's fine to notice that and like there's nothing wrong with that, but you can't put yourself in a situation where anything would happen or could happen. And I think that if you are not happy in your relationship, like that's something that can happen.
It happens all the time. So again, I train thousands of men. And I will tell you now, inside of marriage, what ends up happening is when a guy nowadays doesn't feel wanted or doesn't know how to communicate what he's feeling with his wife, right now through social media, the ability for them to get into chatting conversations with women, which for all they know, it's a guy with a female profile, but who knows, is very high. And this happens a lot. Right? I mean, guys are sliding in DMs to you all the time. I don't know because I don't do social media anymore. I don't give a shit. But
it's usually like your guy friends. They're like, you guys look great. And then like Keith will randomly message me like, hey, looking hot. I'm like, thanks, Keith. Like,
I thought you said it was like more than that.
I don't ever. I
mean, my best friend's sending you like messages. Who cares? But it's like I'm talking about like.
No, I don't get. They're in my like other chat group, and if it's like, hey, how are you? I'm like, no, I don't accept it. I don't like accept it into my like primary whatever it is.
Oh, they go into the secondary disappear vault.
Yeah, like I'd have to actually go over. Yeah. Sometimes I go over to that. I don't check my DMs a ton, but I'll go over to that side just so that I can see like if there's any hair questions or whatever, and then I'll see like some random guy that's like, hey, I'm like, no.
So you shut it down.
I just you can't. Yeah. I don't accept it into like my primary.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know who it is. If
that
I don't know who it is and it's a man, I'm like, I don't know who you are. Why would I Why do I care what you have to say?
There was a time though in our marriage that both of us, I would have entertained it. I did entertain it. Like I'm just saying, like this happens a lot right now, which is couples that can't communicate start entertaining through social media platforms, not through Ashley Madison going and looking for somebody to cheat with, but they start to socially fill themselves up through chat with other people. Right. And the crazy part about it is they're doing it like, and again, this is a conversation that came up multiple times this week inside our trainees at Wake Up Warrior, where men got caught in text and DM conversations with other women, younger women that were flirting with them, and they're going back and forth and talking sexually with each other. And then the spouse catches them in the act and like just catches it on the phone, like sees it, something stupid because they're like shared iCloud accounts or something, and next day they're seeing it all. Yeah. Like this for me is like a shutdown game. But I'm amazed at how many couples are like, still allowing this shit to go down.
Yeah, and even if nothing is happening physically, you're like, why are you entertaining that, right? Yeah. Like, why are you're entertaining the idea that something might happen, and then it starts there, and next thing you know, like maybe you do end up like meeting. You're like, hey, let's go for a walk. Hey, let's do it. Like whatever it is.
How it all starts.
Like it's how it all starts. So you have to be like very protective of like your energy, and even if it's so funny. When our relationship wasn't great, social media wasn't like...
Social media wasn't a thing.
Yeah, and I was like,
It was not a thing at all.
I mean, if it
was,
like...
I think it would have been a problem.
Yeah, I was like, I think it would have been a big problem. I never felt like I got approached by men. I didn't get DMs or
When we were going through our shit, though, we were kind of still in the middle of like, the Mormon pocket.
And I was in very much like, fuck everybody. Like, I was like blinders up, whether I stay married or not. Like, I just went to this place where I'm like, I might not be happy, but like, fuck everyone. Like, and I just was kind of like, I'm going to work on me. I'm going to work on my kids. Hopefully this works out. Like, I was like, that's like, that literally was my mindset. I'm not you're naturally very much more like friendly.
Yeah.
I'm not that friendly. Like, I mean, I feel like I am a friendly person. That sounds bad, but I'm not naturally like, I don't naturally engage with people, whereas you can come across like a little more flirty, I would say.
For sure.
So like if we're not in a good space and you were like talking to a girl and she's not, say like I'm super insecure and I'm not in a good space, I might be like, oh my God, I think Garrett likes me. But you're just like a friendly man, right?
Yeah, but you know what's interesting? Like the energy inside of me has completely shifted. I used to not know how to be social with people and not flirt. So there was always a flirt. If it was a woman, there was always kind of a little flirt to it. Now that like there's none. Like it's like dead. It's like there's a piece of me that like I can talk to them. It's purely cerebral, but I don't have conversations much. Like the people I talk to work for us. Like that's it. Like I don't have conversation with anybody else, and those individuals are all in relationship with people that we love and respect, and like that's more family than anything. But I legitimately do not put myself in an environment. I hear guys that will hire like a couple guys that last like a couple months, like that I know. They hire personal assistants who are like young 20s, and they're beautiful girls, and I'm like, okay, listen, bro. They're like, dude,
I wouldn't even hire a hot nanny.
Yeah, no way, dude. It's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we went for somebody who was in their 50s, and she's amazing. We love Rosie, but it's like we're not hiring a 22-year-old nanny to come and be at the house every single day.
It's bad.
So, like, final message on this is don't put yourself in stupid situations. That's it.
Sorry.
Don't put yourself in stupid situations, right? It's real easy to do.
But also, you have to like, if you're not happy, you need to like address what the problems are, and probably like, either work on those or maybe move on, right? Like, stop
100%.
dancing on the fence and entertaining like another option. Like, you're obviously, if it's not working out, if you don't trust and respect the person that you're with, why? Like,
why are you with them?
Why are you with them? Because it's comfortable and you're waiting till it's like there's a better option, so then you can make a slow exit. Side door Sally.
Side door Sally.
Don't side door Sally your relationship, okay?
So don't put yourself in uncomfortable situations and problem situations. But on top of that, the reason why you're probably putting yourself into problem situations because you're lying to yourself and you're not having real conversations. Like, this has been the foundation of what allows us to be able to be in deep respect and trust as a couple, and to go through the 5 stages of what we call relationship, right? If you haven't checked that out, you can check that out at divorceyourwife.com. There's an entire movie there that we'll go through that I created, walking through the stages. Stage 1, seduction. Stage 2, strangulation. Stage 3, suffocation.
Is that your
then
new
the
movie?
gap. No, it's not the new one. I got a new movie at wakeupwarrior.com. But that process, and then being able to make the jump across the gap to the last 2 stages, which is submission. And then it'll be salvation, which this weekend in Mexico, this past weekend was Salvation Weekend.
Salvation Weekend?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was like rebirth.
It was fun. I felt like I was like...
I was with my best friend.
Yeah, totally. Like, it was like, I felt very connected to you. I felt very safe. I felt like we were having fun. Like, it was just like another level to our relationship for sure.
I think it's because I got to surf every morning.
I knew because you were like, we can't take any more trips. And I was like, couldn't we take a trip where you surf and golf and have sex? And you were like, okay.
So let me think about it.
Absolutely sure.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Let's do this. All right, we're going to wrap up this show. We had a bunch of topics. Some were random. Some were all over the place. Some of them we didn't go deep enough on. Some we did go really deep on.
That was kind of like a...
Some were like some topics from the park, etc. Hopefully enjoyed it. Either way, here's the thing I will tell you. If you are not dating your spouse, you got to get off the couch and make it happen. Men, I'm going to speak directly to you. Coordinate the shit. Now, Danielle's going to talk shit right now because she's like, oh my God, I coordinate everything. And that's because my wife doesn't like any of the plans I ever make. So
that's true.
She wants to be in control of the plans. I'm okay, but she still will never drive on date night. I don't care if it's her car. Get in shotgun. I'm the man. I drive. That may be old school.
I don't care. I don't even like
maybe
driving.
old fashioned.
You can
I don't
drive.
care.
Just get the door for me, babe.
That's right. That's what I'm doing. If you're not doing date nights, get your date night on. And if you are doing the date night, here's a topic for you to look at this week. What are you currently holding back on in conversation with your spouse? What are you not talking about that can ultimately brew into you doing and thinking some stupid shit? Talk about it. If it's about sex, talk about it. If it's about money, if it's about how people are showing up or not showing up inside the relationship, take a topic this week. And
you've been showing up, babe.
Thank you.
Been showing up. I'm excited to say. I was worried you weren't going to show up because Mother's Day's coming up, and I was like, Mother's Day's coming up, and you were like, you just had your birthday. And I was like, I'm still mother, so.
I know you're going for the twofer. This is the twofer. All right, this is when mothers get to sleep in and do the thing that they do.
I'm gonna let. I don't even. Actually, you know what? I don't even really care. Just like.
You
Actually, I do.
Care.
I want you to.
Stop
I want
it.
you to.
I've already got things handled.
Something.
Stop it. Stop it.
True.
You think I'm going to stop this momentum? Mexico was amazing. You think I don't want the basket experience again? You don't want Milky Way? All right, listen. All the amazing, glorious things that happened.
I just wanted to make sure you had so many images in your mind that like.
Listen, Zumba.
Okay.
All right. We're done with the show. We'll see you guys here next week. This is Garrett J White and Danielle signing off here.